Good morning. It's the Travis Simple Podcast. Happy Monday. Hope you had a kick-ass weekend. I definitely did. Non-stop poor decisions in some arenas. It seems like I just can't get away from them, but everything else is going okay. What are you going to do? You can't be great. Nobody's great at everything. It's silly to think that you can be. And I'll tell you what, that actually walks me right into what I want to talk about. You know what I did this weekend that I found to be unusual? It was just one of these things that I just, it didn't feel right to me. So I'm going to describe it, and you let me know what you think. So, I coach football, and I realize that the world has changed, since I was playing, obviously. And it's definitely changed since, I was a teacher, which was 9 years ago now. That was the last time I was in a classroom. Again, I know it's changed, but this just feels weird. So, I coach at a very large high school. And so we have a high level of talent that comes through there. And we've got another school that's near us. They're in our league, and they basically break all the rules. Like, it's in a public school, you can't recruit kids. You can't recruit like you can at a private school or like a college would. You know what I mean? You can't do that shit. And these guys do. I mean, they're crafty about it. They set up camps and clinics and they have their coaches there, and they just kind of build relationships with these kids, kind of get in their ear. And it's just a weird situation. So we don't do that shit because we fucking follow the rules. I mean, we don't do that. I mean, it's illegal, so we're doing it right. I mean, and but what we had to cross into doing this weekend was addressing that. Hey, you guys are going to get recruited by this other school. Really, it's just one of them, and they're putting out misinformation about us. And it brings me back to, my favorite poem, right? If it says, when being lied about, do not deal in lies. And I mean, that's where we are. These guys are lying about us. They're saying a bunch of stuff about us that isn't true. And so, like I said, we got to start recruiting these kids back. So we had this thing with the 8th graders, kids who are going to be freshmen, and we had to give a presentation on why it's good to be at Grand Blanc and why they shouldn't go to this other school, because they recruited away one of our quarterbacks who's an 8th grader. And honestly, good riddance to that motherfucker. Everything I saw about him was he's a lazy, full of shit, not the kind of guy we want. That's the kind of kid that very frankly fits in at this other school. He's exactly the kind of kid that they have over there. And so, good riddance, get the fuck out of here. But unfortunately, he's kind of a charismatic kid. He's one of these kids who kind of matured early, so he was the cool guy. He's good at athletics, and so he's got a lot of friends among his classmates. And so he tried bringing them with him. And so I'm sitting here in this meeting. It's myself, the head varsity coach, and another coach, and the mother of this 8th grade kid. And what a nice kid. Let me tell you, super nice kid. And I get it, man. If my quarterback had said, hey, I'm going to this other school, you should go with me, that's a really nice compliment. I mean, it is really nice. But I'm giving you a whole bunch of detail on that so I can talk about just this one thing. You hear people, and I know it's just going to probably make me sound just like a fucking old guy, but the level of entitlement in our culture it's embarrassing. And I'm going to tell you, and again, this is across the country. We're going to step way out of football here, because let me tell you, the kid that we met with was one of the nicest kids I've ever met. And his mom I've known for years. She's a great lady, and I think that really illustrates the problem that this idea is even getting at the good ones now. You know what I mean? And we have to address that. And the idea is this, that you deserve everything. And like I opened up, I did a lot of great things this weekend, but I fucked some shit up too. But I don't expect myself to be great at everything. You know what I mean? I don't expect people to hand me anything. Anything that I got out of this weekend is because I worked for it. You know what I mean? The money I spent, the people I was around, everything I did, I worked for it. And I'm not saying that, Yeah, I am saying that. I'm saying that our fucking society, our American society, is primarily lazy motherfuckers who believe that other people should give them stuff and do stuff for them just because they're John Smith. You know, this whole, and I watched it happening when I was a teacher. We used to call it the middle school philosophy. And that middle school philosophy, this whole self-esteem movement, that's where it started. It started in middle schools where we can't fail kids. They can fucking fail every single class, and they're still an 8th grader next year, or they're still a 9th grader next year. We can't do anything to, this whole least restrictive environment, which was an educational concept that essentially took special ed kids, and I don't even know if that's the fucking name for them anymore, like probably called like exceptionally challenged or some shit, and put them in classes with all the quote-unquote regular kids. And I'll tell you exactly what that looks like from a teaching perspective. They would always tell us, well, you need to scaffold your classroom and have these good kids working, the higher level kids working on this, and the average kids working on this, and the special ed kids working on this other thing. Well, that means there's 3 different groups that I have to supervise and keep engaged. And man, that's not how it works. You start doing that shit, it's whack-a-mole. You go over to one group and they're working hard, and as soon as you turn your back, they're not anymore. Like, it just, all of that so that the special ed kids wouldn't have their feelings hurt by being in a special ed class. Fuck, all the regular kids know that they're special ed kids. You think they're not getting shit in the hallway for that? And I wish it weren't that way, but it is what it is. Like, man, I know I just sound fucking old here, but I had a bully. I have I'm not going to give him any props by saying his fucking name here, but he was a big, fat, stupid idiot. I think he was 2 grades ahead of me, but he was probably 6 years older than I was. I don't know how many classes he had, how many grades he had failed. I can remember in 4th grade, it finally got to the point where I had to haul off and deck him. And he pins me down in the bus seat and he's swinging at me and everything. But he never touched me again after that. He never touched me again. And that's what I learned about fucking bullies. Okay? I learned a ton in that interaction. Okay, and fuck, man, every school is a bully-free zone, and bullies are good sometimes, all right? I'll tell you that story in a second. So, I'm a kid, and I used to get car sick I used to get motion sick on the bus, because I lived out in the middle of nowhere, and our bus ride is like 2 hours. So, stopping and going on the bus, and I'd fucking throw up. And this kid would stand over me and give me shit about it, rub my face in it like he was a fucking asshole. I find out later, of course, he's the adopted kid of a fucking 30-pack a day alcoholic. Of course he's an asshole. You know what I mean? I'm sure his life is garbage at this point. I would expect nothing less. But I had to learn that there's a point that I won't, like there's a line I won't cross. And I can't remember what it was that day, but this dude was fucking with me, and I hauled off, swung at him as hard as I could, connected, dove in the seat, turtled up, because fuck, like I said, guy's twice my size. Literally twice my size. That's probably, 60 pounds or whatever a 4th grader is. He was easily double that, this dude. I remember I had to swing way up to get to him, and, I was sitting in the principal's office, and the principal comes out and he gives me the fucking riot act, right? So disappointed in you, blah, 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 blah. You should see Dale's ear. It looks terrible. I'm like, I fucking hit him in the ear? Like, so disappointed. I wasn't looking. Like, I shut my eyes and swung. Now I know, fuck, it actually kind of hurts to get hit in the ear. That hurts like a son of a bitch. But what I learned about myself is this, that I'm tougher than I think. And I don't mean physically tougher. I mean mentally tougher. Like, there's a point where you go, oh, man, I can really control my environment, even if it seems uncontrollable. Like this giant motherfucker who never shuts up and always give me shit and rub my face and barf. I can do something about that. And it's that attitude that you can control what's in your life. I've been talking about that from the fucking very beginning on this podcast. You are in control of what happens to you. For the most part. You're making the decisions that are putting these things in your life. You're doing that. And that was the beginning of me understanding that concept. Was being bullied until I found my limit. You know what I mean? And again, I watched the kid shit when we were in high school. Kid I played basketball with. I always liked him. He grew up in my neighborhood. I've run into him 4 or 5 years ago. He seems to be doing well. Good for him. I remember he just was a mouthy kid, you know? And he was mouthy with the wrong kid. And that dude whooped on him. Like, had him in a headlock, was, you know, pounding on him. And everybody knew it was coming, so we were all kind of watching. It was after lunch or whatever. And but after that, he wasn't as mouthy. Like, that was the best thing. Well, maybe not the best thing that ever happened to him, but that changed him in a positive way. He needed that. You know what I mean? At least from the outside, that's what it looked like to me. You know, for sure. And I'd seen that happen before with older kids checking us younger guys. You know, I had a principal one time that he used to tell the story about how due to poaching, there was this village in Africa or some shit. And all the, like, adolescent age young elephants would just fucking run wild and knock shit over and kill people. And they were just assholes. And it was because all the mature elephants had been poached. So there are only the young ones left, and the poachers don't go after them, evidently. So the cure was really simple. They brought in some mature elephants from another area of Africa. And that was the end of those adolescent elephants acting up. It's a natural fucking thing, you guys. The world should bring you consequences. Okay? And it's just as simple as a fucking 5th grade field day. You know, when you go out there and you race and you lose. You don't get the same size trophy as the guy who won. You know what I mean? You can't be great at everything. You shouldn't expect yourself to be. Yeah, you lost the race, but maybe you'll kick his ass in science. Or you're a great fucking, I don't know, you have a pool table in your basement, you can kick his ass in pool. I mean, nobody's great at everything. So you can't expect yourself to be. And you can't, like, I don't know, you certainly can't fault anybody for not being there. I don't know, it really weakens our society when people have this idea that they fucking deserve everything. You know, and again, this kid that we met with today was an awesome kid. Like, I'm super excited to coach him, actually, after sitting down and talking with him and meeting him. He's the nicest kid, but again, like I said, it's the point now where even the good ones are getting kind of tainted a little bit by this sense of entitlement. That you're an 8th grader, and the varsity football coach, the varsity JV head coach, and another coach are going to be there to basically talk you into staying. Like, what did we really teach that kid? You know, isn't he going to walk away at least on some level thinking, well, all I got to do is kind of rattle my saber and everybody will come down and save the day for me. Didn't we kind of teach him that? I mean, and I don't think this is the kind of kid who would absorb that lesson, but he could. You know, and again, I think his mom is sharp as fuck, really has her shit together. She did a great job raising him. She'll continue to do that. So I don't think he'll walk away with that. But man, if that word gets out, I mean, shit, now we're doing it all the time. Now we spend all of our time kissing everybody's ass so they won't leave us. Now, I believe that as long as we keep doing things well and we compete and we win and we keep loving each other like we do in this program, they'll just want to stay. And I think we're at that point right now. I think we're there. I think this is the last of that. At least that's what I hope. But you see where it creates that sense of entitlement, which ultimately makes you weaker. It does. Because it makes you less able to deal with adversity. So anytime that, you know, it's not going to be this kid again, but if adversity were to come his way, like he didn't get, I don't know, he didn't get as many minutes as he thought he should get, like he's going to want to do that again because we just reinforced that belief. You know, and what word gets out? I don't know. I'm really going crazy with that, but that's what got me thinking about it. And as we look across our whole culture, this isn't just a schools thing, okay? You know, like I said, it started in the middle school, and then those kids would get to the high school, and they'd get to 9th grade, and they would fail my class, and they'd be beside themselves that they had to take the class again, you know? Man, and the counselors and the other teachers and the parents are like, you need to just pass him. He's a good kid. I'm like, maybe he is a good kid, but he's got to fucking do the work. And very honestly, I would so much rather have this kid fail with me when he's 14 than carry this attitude that that's how the world works out into the fucking adult world. You know what I mean? And now, high school is just as soft as middle school. I would even tell you college is the same way. Can't hurt anybody's feelings. Can't hurt anybody's feelings or you're the bad guy. You know? I mean, I think everyone needs some kind of praise when they're young. You need 2 things in your life. You need someone to tell you when you're doing it right so that you can continue to do it right, and someone to tell you when you're fucking doing it wrong and bring consequences with it. When you're doing it right, there will be rewards. When you're doing it wrong, there will be consequences. But ultimately, once you leave that parental atmosphere, the consequences and rewards go away unless you give them to yourself. If you work hard, you will make money. Make money, work hard, do things right, keep yourself up, be fit, blah, blah. The other sex is going to be attracted to you. You'll end up getting a good partner. Like, those rewards come your way when you're doing it right. And again, in the world, the rewards will come your way if you fucking do it wrong, or the consequences will, right? You fuck up, you go to jail. Right? You do something stupid, you go to jail. That's how the fucking world works, guys. That's what being a kid's about. We're supposed to be given this mini adult life. And adult life is not, you get anything you want whenever you want it. And you're great at everything. And we're never going to hurt your feelings. Bad news, bro. The world's going to hurt your feelings, okay? And the weaker we get with this bullshit, the weaker we get. I think about the political correctness bullshit. You know, I heard fucking Tim Kennedy talk about this on Instagram today or yesterday or whatever. And he was talking about exactly that. China is getting stronger. They don't give a fuck about hurting anybody's feelings. They just get stronger every day. I read an article also Tim Kennedy put out talking about how China's got these programs in place to make boys manlier. You know? And we essentially are trying to take masculinity away from men. Now, who's going to win in that fucking war? Right? You think that, like, the kid who doesn't know how to be a man and doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings is going to win the war against the manly fucking culture who doesn't give a shit? I mean, it's a tale as old as time. I mean, that's how Rome went down. Fuck, pay attention, right? That's how that shit goes. The reason the political correctness becomes a problem is this. You spend more of your time worrying about hurting people's feelings than you do about than you spend doing your job well. You know what I mean? You know, I talked about this in the leadership podcast last week, that if you're doing things right, you're going to piss people off. You are, if you're doing things right. If you're trying to navigate the world without making anybody angry, you are invariably going to be incredibly vanilla. You'll get nothing done. Your legacy will be, oh, cool, you didn't piss anybody off. But you will have done nothing. Okay? That's what I talked about last week. And so the more politically correct you become, I just fucking heard that our president has decided, him and the vice president have decided that the United States is wholly founded on racism. Like the 1619 Project or something, like the first slave came over in 1619. So that you're going to decide that my fucking country is defined only by one fucking thing that happened 400 years ago. Really? Like, can't it be defined by some positive shit? I mean, that was a different fucking world, right? I wasn't there. You weren't there. Fuck, it was 400 years ago. And you're going to say that's what our country is founded on? Fuck, you want to pick something bad, say it's a bunch of rich dudes who didn't want to pay their taxes. I mean, that's certainly at least part of it. You know what I mean? Now, that's a negative. I could tell you a million positives that founded our country, for sure. You know, also when I was a teacher, there was this strong emphasis on the global economy, right? And it was the same voices telling us that we couldn't hurt anybody's feelings and everything had to be politically correct. They were telling us, oh, we're in a global economy. We've got to find a way to be competitive, right? But we're consistently weakening ourselves by never hurting anyone's feelings. Like, how do those things jive together? You know what I mean? Like, we have to compete with these other. We can't rest on our laurels, you guys. Everybody else has the internet. Pretty much everybody else has freedom. You know what I mean? Like, it really is a global economy. And right now we are, I mean, I'm not saying we go back to fucking survival of the fittest, but for fuck's sake, if you're not the best at what you're doing, you shouldn't be getting a fucking trophy for it. You know what I mean? And that isn't just kids. Like, it's fucking happening in office environments now. Like, the adult world is changing. You know? It's embarrassing, and it actually makes me feel pretty uncomfortable. You know what else is pretty fucking uncomfortable? As a result of this fear of hurting people's feelings, this is what will happen to you if you are if you are labeled a racist or you make an insensitive comment or some shit like that, you'll get what's called deplatformed, which you can define that in many ways depending on what is the level of your responsibility. Like, if YouTube decides they don't like the shit that I say, and fuck, man, I get 30 to 50 viewers, like, so nobody's going to report me on this shit, but they will take me off of YouTube. They'll take me away. They'll take away my platform, my ability to talk to other people. You know, and that's their right. YouTube's a privately owned company, I think, and it's not government owned anyway. So the whole First Amendment shit, yeah, I can say whatever I want to, but YouTube's a private company. They don't like me, fine. They can cut me off. Now, I don't like that, but I don't think that they're taking the high road for the right reasons. I just think they're afraid. Because if I were to say some things they didn't like and their name were attached to that, they're afraid of that they'll get deplatformed, right? That they'll be labeled whatever the fuck I am at that point. Now, follow me on this. You know, I'm not the best at history. I couldn't remember the fucking name of Central America last week, for shit's sake. But in the 50s, there was a thing called McCarthyism. Joseph McCarthy was a senator out of Wisconsin, I'm pretty sure. And this guy led a movement, an anti-communist movement, okay? He fucking went after everybody and said they were communists. Because at that time, being a communist was, you know, essentially a universal American term for bad person. Because we were in the thick of the Cold War with the Russians and, you know, and whoever else was with them, Soviet Union, right? They were communists. They were the bad guys. And you didn't want to be affiliated with them in any way. And so as soon as you got labeled a communist, whether you were or you weren't, you'd get deplatformed. And in most cases, they were fucking wrong. And, you know, the book The Scarlet Letter, right? So I'm an English guy. It's about the Salem witch trials. And Hawthorne was really doing a commentary on McCarthyism, basically saying that this communist shit was a witch hunt. And I mean, shit, everybody knows how the witch hunt worked. They accused all these women and men of being witches, and I mean, witches don't exist, bro. Like, I was talking to this girl on a dating app once, this long time ago, and she said she was a witch, so I'm like digging in, like I'm asking her all these fucking questions. I'm like, you ride on a broom? It's fucking outrageous. It's outrageous. You know, you think you're a witch. You needed somebody in your life to give you some fucking consequences for being a dipshit, okay? Now, I know I sound like a fucking bully, and I handled bullies really well when I was a teacher. I would tell them, like, listen, man, you guys want to make fun of each other, and everybody's okay with it? Great. I make fun of my friends all the time. I'll make fun of you. You'll make fun of me. It'll be awesome. It'll be a great way for us to bond. But as soon as somebody doesn't like it, you have to stop. And I'd tell them, you know what, and if you keep going after they stop, then I will make fun of you. And I'm much better at it than you are. I've been doing it for a long time. You'll want to dig a grave for yourself right here in the carpet and bury yourself. Like, I'll take you down, right? My point is that the world is what it is, okay? We've got this. It's a tough place, okay? It's going to be competitive at some point if you really want to succeed. It's going to be competitive, whether it's law school or getting a job or getting promoted. There's going to be competition. Somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to lose. And the more prepared for that you are, the happier your life is going to be. And ultimately, you need someone to kind of let you know what's going to help you in that pursuit and what is not. And being a witch ain't going to fucking help you. You know? I don't know. I kind of got off task there, or off topic, but my point is that when you are labeled as insensitive or non-politically correct, or you say some things that basically don't lean real hard left out in the world, then you're going to get deplatformed, which is the modern equivalent. It's the touchy-feely, safe version of getting burned at the stake for being a witch. It's true. It's the same shit that happened to the people in the 50s over the communism shit. You know, perhaps the most tangible thing that's happening in our fucking society right now is this cancel culture bullshit. Now, you tell me, what is the difference between canceling a book or a song or saying that advanced math is racist What is the difference between that and book burning? You tell me the difference. Now, I hope we can all agree that the book burning and shit that happened, fucking Nazis did that all the time. You know? They did it all the time. You tell me what's the difference, because I'd love to hear that argument. I really would, because it's the fucking same shit. You know what? The way that the country is going, it's becoming socialist. And fucking do the research. There has never been a successful socialist culture. Now, there have been some hints of socialism. Shit in Sweden, Norway, what do you call it? No, I'm going to blank on fucking geography again. Clint's going to give me some shit about it. But Scandinavian countries have some socialist things. We as Americans have some socialist things. Our healthcare is somewhat socialized. We've got entitlement programs, welfare programs, Social Security. You have to be at least a little socialized, right? Because again, roads, all that stuff. But a fully socialist culture is successful at a max. Well, I would tell you, a communist culture is successful at a max of 150 people. Anything over that, now you have a dictatorship. Name me a country that's 150 people or less. Okay? This whole everybody gets shit for free just because they're John Q. Smith or Jane Q. Smith. How can no one see the end of that? This whole, our fucking, the last stimulus package, okay? It was $1.9 billion. And I wish I had a graphic to put up for you. Cost $1.9 billion of tax money. Every person, there's 331 million people in our country. If you do the math on that, 1.9 billion divided by 331 million is 5,481, I think it is. So it costs each person in our country, that's every fucking soul, from newborns to nearly deads, every one of them, if they paid taxes, and we know that not all of them do, $5,481 in tax money. And what we got, and it wasn't even, I mean, most people didn't get it. I mean, kids didn't get it, was $1,400. So you paid $5,400 to get $1,400. Like, where do you think that they just printed the money? Why can't people see the fucking end of this? There is no end. Well, I mean, it ends, poorly is what happens. Like I said, devaluation of the dollar at the very least. At the very least. But you were going to agree to pay your share of $5,400 to get $1,400 now. That is the most fucking short-sighted shit I've ever heard of. And I very much think it's a result of this sense of entitlement that pervades our fucking country right now. I mean, it is raging like crazy. Don't hurt anybody's feelings. Everyone gets everything for free. What the fuck? That's what's going on in your country right now, you guys. That's what's going on. I'll tell you this. The root of it all is fear. And this is what I mean by that. In Nazi Germany, you know, you would all like to say that if you were there, that you would have stopped the Nazis. If you were a German, you would have stopped the Nazis. All right, well, let's test that theory. So the Nazis started coming after different groups. They started with gypsies. You're like, all right, I kind of don't like those people. Then they came after the homosexuals, and maybe you were like, well, all right, fine. I don't want to make waves, right? They kept coming after all these groups. They come after the Jews, of course. And then by the time they come for you, there's nobody left to fight them. Like, so what are you going to do? Because if you make waves, you'll get canceled, right? And back then, canceled meant you're dead. You speak against the government or do something against the government, you would die. You won't die now, but you'll die a different way. Like, you'll lose your reputation. You lose your job. You know what I mean? And the root of it, like I said, it's fear. Everyone is afraid to be labeled like that, okay? Everyone is. Who's doing the labeling? I'm going to tell you it's the media. Okay, the media is the ones who are making all this shit so fearful, I guess. So, yeah, I get it. So I'm a single guy. I don't have a wife whose reputation I'm trying to protect. I don't have a boss that I'm worried about. I will never tell you where I fucking work coaching football, ever. I mean, shit, you know what? Yeah, that's what that is. You don't have all that shit. You probably have a job. You got a wife. You got things that you are afraid you'll lose. If you, like, maybe you're like me. Like, you see all these things. And you're like, yeah, no, that's not right, man. That's fucked up. Yeah, it's fucked up. Somebody should, I don't know, do something, I guess. And then you ask yourself what you can do. And you're like, I can't do anything. I got all this stuff to lose. I got all these things that I could lose. Well, then what are you really admitting? You're admitting that that concept is wrong. You're admitting that you're saying, I'm right. I know that all this shit is fucked up, but I can't do anything about it because I'm afraid to lose shit that they will take away from me if I make waves. That's what you're admitting. I mean, can't you see the fucking irony of this? Like this whole extreme left shit about, I don't want to upset anybody. I don't want to make waves. Judgment is wrong. We can't hurt anybody's feelings. It's the ironic opposite of what's going on. I mean, maybe I'm the only one. Maybe I'm the only one, but I don't think so. I mean, that's what it is. And yeah, to test the theory, yeah, I work at Grand Blanc High School in Grand Blanc, Michigan. That's where I coach. So that's me letting you know that I'm not afraid. You know, you don't like what I'm saying, that's fine. If the school district catches this and they don't like what I'm saying, that's fucking fine. But they will be admitting that they are cowards if they do anything about what I'm saying or what I'm doing. Right? Because they're afraid someone will associate them, will put a label on them because I'm associated with them. Right? You know, it's not like I'm a meth dealer. I'm just a guy speaking his truth and observing the world and talking about it. Right? I don't know. That's never going to happen because nobody fucking watches my podcast. But I don't know, man. That's what was on my mind. This is an extension of the leadership podcast, okay? Because I think if you really want to be a leader in your life, you've got to find a way to make your peace with this. And, you know, be willing to speak up, be willing to have these conversations. Now, I don't think you don't have to post shit on Facebook or do a bunch of shit that can be quoted and used against you, and, you know, don't hang your balls out. But you can talk to people about it. What's wrong with that? You know, if that's what you think, if you think like I do, maybe you can talk to some people. Maybe there's some things you could do. Maybe you could do like I do, pick up a coaching gig or something like that where you can kind of help. You're not indoctrinating, you're not waving somebody one way or the other, but the way that you handle yourself, the way that you talk about the world, that impacts people around you. You like it or not, it does. Just talk about it at the water cooler. You know, that's not unreasonable. You know what I mean? I know, and then you'll get into the group meeting and you're just going to clam right up. Because you're afraid, dude. And I'm not fucking telling you you're a pussy. I get it, man. You got other people you got to keep happy. That's how the world works. But think about that. Maybe there's a way. Maybe there's a way. I don't know. I'm just one guy complaining. Again, yeah, that thing about recruiting that kid back, that was hard on me. I think bullies are good sometimes. Sometimes you need them. You know? Yeah, I think that it can toughen you. It made me better. The weaker we get, the worse we're going to be in a global economy. Deplatforming it's being burned at the stake. And it's because everyone else is afraid to make waves. Don't be fucking afraid to make waves. Everybody who's been successful, anyone whose name you'll read in a history book, fucking made waves. They didn't mind upsetting people. All right? My name is Travis Neville. I wrote this book called The Jossman Method. You can get this thing on Amazon and Audible and fine bookstores everywhere. You can get it at my publisher, which is Atlantic, out of Ocala, Florida. Man, I hope that this discussion will help you in some way to get your shit together. Thanks, you guys. Have a great week.